Today, we're really pulling apart the dynamics of neurodiverse relationships.
We are, and we're focusing specifically on something called autistic masking or camouflaging.
Right. It's a really common survival strategy, but we're going to get into the hidden costs, they're huge, and they can seriously erode intimacy.
And we should start by defining it properly. Masking isn't about deception, not really. It's a neuroprotective strategy.
A way to avoid trauma.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about consciously or unconsciously hiding your natural autistic traits to, avoid stigma and rejection. The problem isn't the neurology.
No.
It's the unaccommodating environment that forces this performance in the first place.
And that performance is it's relentless. The research we looked at describes it as running a complex social calculus program in your head all the time.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
You're constantly monitoring your body language, forcing eye contact you don't want to make, scripting your words just to fit in. The mental tax is just crushing.
Mm-hmm. It is. And that cumulative cost is, it's immense. High camouflaging is consistently linked to much higher rates of depression, anxiety, and a deep sense of self-alienation.
Which eventually leads to autistic burnout, or ABO.
Right. And ABO isn't just feeling tired. It's a severe loss of functional capacity.
We're talking memory loss, total exhaustion, executive function just goes out the window. Basic self-care becomes this monumental task.
And here's the paradox, the really destructive part of the cycle.
Okay.
When that burnout hits, the stress actually dials up the very traits the person was trying to hide. So more sensory sensitivity, more rigidity.
So the mask completely shatters.
It shatters. And that collapse creates these huge relational barriers. Things like suppressing stimming or forcing yourself to socialize. But the most harmful part, and the sources were very clear on this.
What's that?
It's the performance of comprehension and consent. Saying yes to intimacy, for instance, when your entire nervous system is screaming no.
Wait a minute. If the autistic partner is saying yes, but meaning no, how is the neurotypical partner supposed to know that? I mean, that sounds like an impossible burden on them.
And that is the perfect question.
Yeah.
Because it highlights the secondary strain on the NT partner. It often comes down to this fuel tank discrepancy.
The fuel tank? Okay, what do you mean?
The autistic partner needs to withdraw to decompress. It's a biological necessity. Their social fuel tank is empty. But the NT partner often sees that withdrawal as
personal rejection.
Personal rejection.
Yeah.
Indifference. And it leads to so much frustration and resentment because the masking has blocked any real, honest feedback.
Okay, so let's shift to solutions then. If masking is the problem, unmasking has to start with safety.
Absolutely. The journey has to begin with the NT partner offering what's called radical acceptance, creating a true sanctuary where the authentic self is celebrated, not just tolerated.
And moving from all this invisible emotional work to what you'd call explicit systems.
That's it. You have to replace subtle hints with directness.
So no more sighing and hoping they get it.
Right. Instead of relying on tone, you just state the need. I need 20 minutes of quiet time right now before we talk about the bills. Or using, say, a shared note or email for a complex topic to give the NT partner time to process.
And that kind of system lets you rediscover connection, but through a different lens, through autistic love languages.
Yes. Connection stops being about, perfect facial expressions or a certain tone of voice.
And it becomes about
things like acts of service or loyalty and consistency or sharing deep joy and a special interest. An act of service is so powerful because it saves the autistic partner from having to spend their own executive function. You're literally giving them a gift of energy.
So at the end of the day, a healthy partnership shifts from judging individual effort, like how well someone keeps a mask on, to building reciprocal functionality.
Which is just a way of saying you co-create clear, predictable systems that actually work for both of you. You take the guesswork out of it.
You support both partners' needs.
Exactly. And to leave you with a final thought, and this one is pretty heavy. Camouflaging is directly linked to an increased risk of suicidal thoughts. Researchers tie this specifically to something called thwarted belongingness.
Thwarted belongingness.
It's that profound internal feeling that the person you love doesn't actually love you. They love the performance. They love the mask.
We're getting into connection.
Mm.
But through this lens of a really huge paradigm shift that's redefining how we even think about relational success, we're talking about autistic love languages, ALLs.
And this is so critical because the traditional neurotypical expectations, they often create just massive friction.
Right.
What we're really getting at here is something called the double empathy problem, or DEP.
Okay, break that down.
The idea is that the breakdown in communication isn't a one-way street. It's not an autistic deficit. It's mutual. Neurotypical communication can be just as baffling to an autistic person as the other way around.
And that misalignment has a real cost. I mean, it leads directly to the need for masking, right?
Oh, a devastating cost.
Where you're constantly suppressing your natural self, you're holding back on stimming, you're forcing eye contact that feels painful.
Just to fit in. And that leads straight to exhaustion, burnout, and a real loss of who you are.
So these ALLs, they kind of pushed back against that. They came from the autistic community itself, didn't they? I remember a viral tweet back in 2021.
They did. It's a reclamation.
Yeah.
They validate these ways of connecting that are authentic, not just, performative.
So let's explore this neurotype-specific lexicon, these 5 ways of connecting. First up is info dumping.
Yes.
So sharing just a ton of detail about a special interest. My first thought is that sounds kind of overwhelming for the person listening.
I get that.
If connection is the goal, aren't you risking just burying your partner in facts?
Well, you have to see it as an act of extreme vulnerability. It's a huge invitation. It's a way I regulate my emotions. And if I'm sharing my special interests with you, I'm essentially handing you a map to my entire inner world. It's an act of deep trust.
That's a fascinating reframe. Okay, so next is parallel play, body doubling. This is being together but doing separate things, side by side. So many people think intimacy has to be conversation and eye contact. Why is this? Absence of demand, a love language.
It's love through low pressure availability. You get this sense of connection and safety from just being near someone. There's no expectation to constantly interact, which is a direct line to preventing sensory overload. It's just peaceful coexistence.
I like that. Okay, then we have penguin pebbling. I love this term.
It's great, isn't it?
It is, but we're so trained to think of gifts in terms of money. So what makes a little pebble or a cool-looking button so meaningful?
Because the value is 100% in the observational care. It's proof.
Proof of what?
Proof that the person saw something out in the world, thought of you specifically, and knew it would bring you joy. It's a nonverbal way of saying, I see you, I get you.
Number 4, deep pressure. And we're not talking a light pat on the back here.
No, not at all. We're talking firm therapeutic contact.
Yeah.
A really tight bear hug or being under a weighted blanket.
I saw a quote about this. Someone described it as feeling like it was crushing my soul back into my body. That's intense.
It is. It speaks to a profound need for grounding when you're dysregulated. But consent is everything here. A neurotypical partner have to understand this isn't about affection in the traditional sense. It's about regulation. It's a need.
And the last one is support swapping or sharing spoons.
Yeah, based on spoon theory. The idea that we all have a limited amount of energy every day are spoons. This is just tangible compassion. If my partner is out of spoons, I'll take on a task for them. It's love expressed as managing capacity, making sure they don't burn out.
And all of this, it feels like it connects back to unmasking.
It's the whole point. Unmasking is the deepest form of relational trust. And it can only happen if you feel that level of safety and validation.
Which actually benefits both people.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
The NT partner stops having to guess at subtle cues they were probably misreading anyway. It lowers the performance demand for everyone. It's just more real. So the question we want to leave you with is this. If performing a false self can be that dangerous, what might a deeper, more radical acceptance look like in your own life to truly affirm the authentic person you're with?
Think about this. ALLs are a form of high-context communication. They require you to learn the very specific sensory and energetic language of your partner. Which brings up a really provocative question. When we master that specific language, knowing someone needs deep pressure or parallel play, Are we actually achieving a deeper, more necessary form of intimacy than we ever could with just surface level conversation?
Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you.